Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Cork It podcast. My name is Kyle,
Dom.
Nico.
and we are excited for another episode. Let's just dive straight into it. In the sports world, we got a couple big headlines. Kareem Hunt requested a trade in the NFL. Training camps are in full effect. We saw our first preseason game last week. Jaguars took on the Raiders. And things are just starting to ramp up for the NFL season. So if you haven't started your fantasy league yet, start that soon. I know they released a lot of the winners from each training camp and who the best players are, what the standouts are. So be sure to keep an eye on that. Make sure you're watching the waiver wires for later in the season. Fantasy football season's getting started, and I'm excited for it.
Football is back.
Football is almost here.
Best season.
Going to basketball, we got the Pro-Am stuff going on. We're seeing Dejounte Murray fight a little bit with Paolo Banchero.
Show some heart.
Yeah, show some heart.
Competitive spirit.
I love it.
Fight on Instagram a little bit.
Yeah.
I love that too. It's pettiness.
A little bit of pettiness.
Yeah.
And then baseball world, we saw a trade deadline happen last week. A lot of the teams made some major moves, and we'll get into that at some point when we get Ian on the podcast because we are not equipped enough to talk about that stuff, so we'll leave it to the experts.
The Reds are 500 since their 3-22 start.
Yeah, I know. The Reds are doing pretty good. Reds country, you know.
Let's ride.
Let's
Yeah, there we go.
let's
Good job,
ride.
boys.
Yes. All right.
Anyways, let's jump into this. I know the first thing we'll talk about real quick is the Kareem Hunt situation. We saw that he requested a trade recently. The Browns came out and said, nope. We are not trading you, which is pretty interesting from a front office standpoint. But I guess, you know, for a guy like Kareem Hunt, his value, and you don't want to pay him his contract that he wants, which is the reason he's requesting the trade.
Yeah.
You got to kind of think from the Browns' perspective of, okay, if we're not planning on paying him, should we let him walk? Should we try to trade him for some assets? What are you thinking so far on the whole situation? I mean, me personally, I would pay Kareem Hunt, especially with the way that the Browns' offense is set up. They run the ball quite a bit with him, especially
the direction that's going to, because at this rate, I think Watson doesn't play a game.
Yes, I agree with that. I mean,
think
I think they need to pay him. I think that especially, you know, he is behind one of the best running backs in the league, but he still gets so many carries in the red zone. Like, he's their workhorse when they get down to the red zone, to the 5-yard line, 10-yard line, stuff like that. So I think they need to pay him because he is going to be a hole in that offense if he's not there.
I agree.
It's the best 1-2 punch in football. Like, it's no
Yeah.
question. Nick Chubb, and then you give it to Kareem Hunt in the red zone, and he pounds it into the end zone pretty much every time. So.
I think with the Browns' 2 running back system, I think it's just very good for their style of play. So, I mean, I agree with they should pay him, but if they don't want to give him the money, then at least trade him to try to get something. Don't just let him walk.
With Jacoby Brissett on their center, too, it's going to be more ground and pound.
You got to be a run game. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to have that 2 running back game.
I think the issue I'm finding with the way the Browns front office is running is that they planned to just have Deshaun Watson as quarterback right out the gate.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
what they
mean,
were thinking.
all the moves they made, they were like, all right, Deshaun's here. We're going to get all these running backs. Or, no, not all these running backs, excuse me. They're like, we're going to get these receivers. We're going to trade for Amari Cooper. We're going to make this move, this move, this move. And then when they find out more about the situation, after giving Deshaun Watson guaranteed money, and now he probably won't even play the whole season, we're seeing them choose not to invest in one of their 2 like studs at running back.
Yeah.
Granted, though, their third string running back is solid. So I mean, like, it wouldn't be a horrible like outcome if they didn't have him come back, but at the same time, that stuff is really hard to replicate. I don't know what that was. What was I saying?
Third running back.
Yes, the third running back. I mean,
Ernest Johnson.
yes, there it is. Johnson's a good running back, and he did have some like
He had some
standout
explosive
moments,
games.
and he's
Yeah.
young too. I mean, he's going into his 4th season. He's 26 years old. He had some good games, 3 touchdowns, 500 yards last year. He wouldn't be a bad second option.
Kareem Hunt
However,
is about running back though. Like
Huh?
he'll get his Kareem Hunt every time.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing is like I'm like saying Dearness Johnson is not a bad running back to have as your secondary, but I would so much rather have Kareem Hunt, especially if I couldn't
question,
rely
yeah.
on my quarterback. I would so much rather have Kareem Hunt.
I'd
So-
rather stick with a solid option in Kareem Hunt with no quarterback than, Johnson's a decent option, so we have him. We don't really need Kareem Hunt. But
Hunt
again,
led
you have Jacoby Brissett as your starting quarterback right now.
Hunt led the team in touchdowns.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
he was crazy for him, and like I said, it's mostly because he was their guy in the red zone. I mean, ground and pound,
Yeah.
get close in. So he did a great job last season for him, and I think that they would be dumb to trade him. However, if they do trade him, what's a landing spot you like for him?
Bills.
I was just gonna say I love Buffalo as a landing spot for him.
I mean, I don't like it, but I mean, it
Oh,
would be
yeah.
it'd be a
It
good
makes the
it'd be a
most
good
sense.
fit because I mean the Bills' running game isn't the best, so I think Kareem Hunt combined with Josh Allen and then Diggs at the wide out, I think that'd be a really good fit. But I mean, I wouldn't want to see.
I would
anything
also
but-
say Kareem Hunt as the number 2 guy. I think is better than him being a number 1 because we kind of saw that in Kansas City.
I mean,
Yeah.
he did good in Kansas City though.
He did,
He
but
was
like,
good in Kansas City.
I think his value was shown more in Cleveland with him being the number 2 guy and him being able to do what he did in the red zone.
I feel like
I
that's just
agree.
the case because you had Chubb do all like the dirty work getting up there, and then it seemed like Kareem Hunt with all those touchdowns just like, oh, we have fresh legs as a good second option now, so put him in the red zone then score. But I still think if Kareem Hunt was the number 1 option for the Bills, I still think he'd excel.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that him as a first option would still be good. I wouldn't say that he wouldn't produce the same numbers. I mean, I still think he would be like a touchdown scoring machine. I mean, he was still good in Kansas City. I mean, he was part of the reason that he was a top 5 running back at the time. So I would like to see him there. I also would honestly like to see a reunion in Kansas City. I wouldn't hate seeing him back in that system with,
Clyde Edwards.
I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, he's not gonna be. He's not
he struggled last year.
He struggled last year, and he's not gonna be the guy that you can rely on night in and night out. So you need some help there. So I would like to see a reunion for him in Kansas City.
I would love that too because Kareem, he's built different than Clyde Edwards, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a small running back.
Yeah.
And Kareem
Mhm.
Hunt, it doesn't matter. He gets his.
Yeah, Kareem
every
Hunt
time.
would be a great option, just like third and short, need these yards in the red zone at the 2-yard line. Clyde is just not. He's not that guy to really push and get that strength and to get those yards like Kareem Hunt is. So that would be a great fit if he went back to Kansas City.
I also think San Francisco would be a cool spot, especially since
They have too many running backs.
I know they've got too many running backs, but since Debo's told them he's not running the ball anymore, I mean, I would hate to like move back. I mean, it all depends. Trey Sermon, if he's healthy, like I wouldn't make the move. But if you've come back to find out that he's not himself after that injury, then maybe I would make a move for him. I also think I like maybe Eagles. I don't know. There's a couple teams in the mix there that would be fun to see him on, but
I think Bills and Kansas City.
I
that
think
make the
Bills
most
Those are
sense.
probably the top
Bills
two.
and Kansas City would definitely be the top 2 if I had to choose.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting to see. And I think that a lot of times, we see this all the time in every sport. Do you think players have too much leverage in these situations?
No.
In trade talks? Like, do you think that them requesting a trade is too much power?
No, because we're seeing it in Brooklyn. I mean, like, it is power, and I mean, if the players don't have any power, that's where it goes wrong.
Right.
So the players do have to be able to have a say. And you can say, like, you're not happy with a situation, and organization fix it and make it happy, because I think that's what's happening in Brooklyn, and Kevin Durant
Mm-hmm.
is going to end up staying there, as what it may seem. So I don't think players being able to request or demand a trade is giving them that much leverage.
Yeah.
Hoarding out, that's another story.
That's what I was
Yeah.
referring to. I don't think that being able to request a trade is too much power. I think
Holding out is
being
definitely
able
too much
to
power.
sit out and not like
It's just
play your
soft.
contract.
Yeah.
I do not like it when players
But I
do
mean,
that.
that's all in the player. I mean, we've seen it countless examples. I mean, in the NFL, we saw it with
Le'Veon Bell.
Eli Manning and Le'Veon Bell.
So
and we
Deshaun
saw
Watson.
we saw tons, exactly, Deshaun Watson too. I mean, we saw tons of it in the league. Do you think that like holding out and that ability to be like, yo, if you don't trade me, I'm going to not play for you, do you think that's too much? Like,
I think it's. I mean, like Dom said, I think it's just soft. Like you are
Mhm.
a star athlete, and again, if you aren't happy with anything in the organization, just like man up and just like, yeah, I'm not happy, instead of, oh, I'm not gonna play, so do something about it. Like,
Yeah.
talk to him, but like, still play football, basketball, still play your sport.
Right.
Like, if you were a star like a Deshaun Watson was in the Texans, or I don't think Kevin Durant's gonna sit out, but in his position now, where he's just like, he just said, get rid of Steve Nash for me, and then he's requesting
Right.
trades again. I just feel like you play your sport, do what you do on the field or on the court, and then if your organization decides, okay, we'll either fix this, we'll get rid of this guy in the organization to like fix the team, or we'll end up trading you for a good package, and that's up to the organization. But don't sit out, or I feel like don't request a trade if you're just unhappy with someone in the organization.
I agree with that to an extent. I mean, being in a good organization does make all the difference, though. I would feel like if I was in an organization where I felt disrespected by the management, and I felt like I didn't really, like, my opinion didn't matter, especially if I'm the star player. Like, if you're the star player and you're like, hey, like, you need to make some adjustments to what's going on down here. Like, this basketball team, this football team is not running the way it should. You need to make, like, some adjustments, and they, like, completely disregard your opinion. I understand being frustrated with that. And also, there's a lot of corruption we see now in front offices and in teams. And if you're on a bad team and you're noticing corruption and a bad head coach that, like Urban Meyer, who treats you like your children, like runs a team like a college team.
All right, come on.
But you know what I'm saying? He ran that team like it was a college team, and those are grown adults. So I can understand wanting to leave based on personnel. However, I think holding out and not playing because of the personnel is annoying. I don't think you should hold out at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's more valid than holding out because of money.
I agree with that. I think that would be more valid than holding out because of money. But I also think another reason that people hold out is, I don't know, Ben Simmons did it for, like, the fans, mental health.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I want to buy into that, yes, he probably was struggling with mental health issues.
It's to an extent, though.
It felt like it was a mask over, like,
What
the
happened
fact
at
that,
the end of his career in Philly.
Yeah.
Right.
Fans calling him out. But
it's an unfortunate situation, but in a situation like that, like, you got to be like, well, like, I guess
getting
for,
paid
like,
millions of
mental
dollars.
health, but you're also getting paid millions. So it's really tough situation to be put in. I mean, it's kind of interesting.
that's the thing. You guys, I mean, these athletes are grown adults, and this pretty much goes with my argument with the transfer portal and how I do not like the transfer portal at all. Is because players are getting an opportunity to leave something because it's hard and not have to work for it. Where players in the old days, like, I mean, like, you had to work for what you wanted, and now you're giving an easy way out.
And that, the transfer portal stuff, I just feel like that's all 5-star athletes. Because you're a 5-star athlete, 4-star athlete, you're going to a spot, and then you end up like, oh, I have to compete with someone else, I'm going to leave. But then the guys who are like the 1-star, 2-star athletes who are like fighting for a spot, you don't see them leaving a lot because they want to compete. They want to get that spot, so they're going to keep grinding until they get that spot at the same college they're at. But again, if you're a top athlete in a top college and you're like, oh, I'm going to be the wide receiver 2 instead of the 1, or I'm going to be a backup quarterback instead of grinding and fighting for the spot to beat out the other person, they just leave, and I hate that.
No, it's just like, I mean, players, they just don't want to work, and I just completely blanked what I was going to say. I had something.
I agree. It seems today, especially with the way social media has evolved the game, you can be a star athlete in high school and get hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. And to some extent, that makes you feel like you're, I think,
Top
better
of the
than
world,
you
better
are.
than
Yeah.
that's what
In the
I think
sense
that's what
that-
It's like what
motivates
Dame
me.
said. Like, these players don't play for the name on the front of their jerseys anymore. It's only about the name on the back.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think that the best example I can think of in this situation is Julian Newman. And I think, I mean, granted, that's also like his dad buying into a lot of that stuff. But he was a guy that got famous on social media and thought he was better than he was.
Totally agree.
He dribbled fast, shot deep threes, and social media gassed him up. And then he thought that he was better than LaMelo Ball. And he still does think he's better than LaMelo Ball. I think that we're running into this problem today where social media gasses guys up, and then they think they're better than they are, which is why when you get to a college, you assume outright that you're going to be the starter, and then the second that it's not, gifted to you or given to you, you assume that they don't know any better and you're the best option. And you leave, right?
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers, we saw it with him. I mean, granted that was a little different, but still,
we didn't see it yet. Quinn Ewers did what he
Right.
did to get the bag, and now he's going to play in Texas, and we don't know what he's going to do in Texas, so you can't jump on that wagon yet. But I see what you're
Okay.
saying with
Yeah.
the Ewers story. But, like, the opposite is with the Ball family. I mean, I know
Yeah.
LeAngelo struggled, but they were always told that they were the best, and they did succeed. So
Yeah.
Right.
They backed up all the talk
Yeah.
behind them. Yeah.
Yeah, they did do that. I mean, it's interesting to see. I think that it'll be something we'll have to watch in the future, but that is a reason why the transfer portal is done.
Agreed.
Next, real quick, I want to get into this debate. JJ sent me a video, and it was basically debating who was better and who would win, the 1992 Dream Team or the 2012 men's Olympic roster. Basically, it's, Jordan and Magic and Bird versus LeBron, KD, and Kobe. So, real quick, let's run through these rosters real quick. 92 Dream Team, you got Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, Chris Mullin, Clyde Drexler, Patrick Ewing, Scottie Pippen, David Robinson, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Christian Laettner, and John Stockton. A very tough team to play against. And the 2012 team had Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Love, Darren Williams, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, James Harden, Andre Iguodala, Tyson Chandler,
it's not close.
and Anthony Davis.
It's not. The Dream Team wipes this. Maybe it's a 12-point game.
I feel like the only thing the Dream Team has is better bigs. Like,
It's only
Way
better,
better
bigs,
bigs.
I feel like. I feel like the better bigs is, like, I would say better bigs by far, right? They've got like 4 or 3.
it's Karl Malone and David Robinson versus Anthony Davis and Tyson
Well,
Chandler.
they also got Patrick Ewing. It's
Ewing.
Patrick Ewing, David Robinson, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley
Tyson Chandler, Kevin Love,
versus Tyson Chandler, Kevin Love,
Anthony Davis,
Davis.
Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin was on that team.
According to this, he was.
No, he wasn't.
Oh.
I think he was on like the what's it called? Like the tryout team.
Okay.
But it was Anthony Davis, Tyson Chandler.
As news,
Kevin
Blake
Love.
Griffin had injured his knee at practice.
Okay.
And was replaced with number 1 pick Anthony Davis.
Gotcha. But the bigs,
The
on
bigs
92 are much
yeah,
better.
Way better.
The guards, you could argue for like 92 Dream Team. I mean, this is gonna sound like a take from a younger generation, but I mean, you've got John Stockton and
Magic.
Magic,
And then Clyde and Jordan.
the
versus
two
Chris
spots.
Paul and Russell Westbrook
At the
versus
ones.
James Harden
Darren Williams.
and Kobe Bryant.
Wasn't D Wade on this team?
No,
No.
D-Wade was on the 08 team.
Okay.
But I would say, so it's Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook versus
Magic and Stockton.
Magic and Stockton, and then Kobe and James Harden versus Jordan and Clyde.
Westbrook was not playing the 1 on this team.
He was playing. You think he was playing the 2?
According to the Bleacher Report, he was.
Okay, that's fine. I'll
But
take
it doesn't matter.
I'll take Russ at the 2.
I would say
they're
the guard.
They're guards.
Clyde can lock Russ, in my opinion.
Not lock.
I wouldn't say.
It's not lock.
This is young
Listen,
Russ. This
no,
is
20
young Russ.
2012, I mean-
2012, they went to the finals that year.
Okay.
His athleticism and his skill in
He
2012
didn't-
was still
he-
insane.
He
did-
dropped 43 points in a finals
Mario
game that year.
Chalmers.
Dude, come on. It was Mario Chalmers was not the main guy guarding him. You know it. You know Dwayne Wade was the main guy guarding him. Come on, dude.
Clyde Drexler was. He's very comparable to Russell Westbrook's athleticism. I know athleticism.
He was very athletic. Okay. So I think that you could go the
Kyle,
guards
it's not
okay,
close,
listen.
dude.
Jordan is miles
Magic
above
Johnson's
everyone.
the greatest point guard of all time.
Is he now?
No,
Is Steph above him?
But
Okay, listen. Michael Jordan is miles above everyone else on that team.
Magic Johnson's miles above everyone.
No. Everyone else on the 92 team. I think
No, Magic. He's not miles above Magic and Larry.
Jordan's
This is 92. This
Arguably-
is 92.
Okay, so you're just saying Jordan's not as good as I'm saying he is?
No, Jordan is great, but this is before both repeats.
Charles Barkley averaged the most points per game on this team.
Charles Barkley was an amazing player.
He was. I like Charles Barkley. I think he's good.
He was an
But
MVP.
also, so are we taking Olympic matchups versus Olympic matchups? Because Carmelo Anthony is one of the best Olympic basketball players ever. He is. He
That's
is,
true.
dude.
That's
He
true.
is.
Making this the most hypothetical thing ever.
It is hypothetical. That's the question. We're saying which one's better. It's a hypothetical question.
I know, but the Dream Team had Magic, Larry, MJ.
And then Carmelo Anthony, Kobe, LeBron, Kevin Durant.
I love how you're putting Melo above Kevin Durant.
I wasn't. No, that's not ordering names. I
I
just
know, I
first
know.
name because you just talked about him. But still,
No one's getting a rebound against David Robinson on that team. No one's getting a rebound.
That's fine. They're not missing.
Oh my goodness.
Look, I think it'll be a tough game. I think it'll be a tough game.
Conversation
I think it'll be a tough
This
game.
is the stupidest
This
conversation ever.
92 Dream Team is stacked, but also that 2012 team is very, very nice.
Yeah.
I would say
I don't think it's the
Kevin
blowout.
Durant.
You're
I think
saying
it's.
it is.
I don't think it's a blowout that you're saying it is. I think Kevin Durant, Kobe, and LeBron are a very tough matchup against Bird, Jordan, and Magic. And this is my thing about that too, is that I think Larry Bird's a top 10 player of all time. I think he's very, very solid. But also, this was towards the end of his career. I mean, he dominated most of the 80s. This would have been 82, which would have made him...
92, you mean?
I'm sorry, what?
You said
Oh, this was 92, excuse me. This would have been 92, which would have made him 36 years old, right? So this is not a young Larry Bird. This is older Larry Bird. And then at this point in 2012, Kobe's still
Still in his prime.
towards the
LeBron's
end.
prime.
LeBron's like in the height of his prime. We're seeing Carmelo Anthony in the height of his prime.
Also, Russell Westbrook's entering his prime.
Russell Westbrook's entering his prime. Chris Paul was in his prime. I mean, we're saying Carmelo Anthony too. Would it be the
Anthony
next season? Was it the next season that he would have averaged 30 a game and won the scoring title?
I think, yeah.
Kevin Durant's in his prime, right? I mean, James Harden's getting ready to enter his. I mean, are we really gonna say? I mean, I would say Tyson Chandler and Andre Iguodala are the two that are
Weakest
like
links.
lowest.
Darren
weakest
Williams?
links. Darren Williams was a
bucket, dude.
Darren
Darren
Williams was a
Williams
bucket,
was a
dude.
But compared to the guards on the...
Okay, now I'm not. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not gonna say Darren Williams is like this elite point guard of all
He's
time.
not scoring against Magic. He's not scoring against Clyde. He's not scoring against Chris Mullin. He's not...
But we do forget that Darren Williams, for a good stretch, was considered a top 3 point
No,
guard in the
I
league.
completely agree with that statement.
He wouldn't be on here if he wasn't. He was a top 3 point guard
He
in
was
the
a
league at this
king
time.
at Illinois and in the
Mhm.
beginning of his career in the NBA.
He was
give you
very
that.
solid up until, I would say,
The Paul Pierce and Kevin
I would
Garnett
say
years.
until Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett came to Brooklyn.
Yeah,
He was
I
such a
completely
good
agree.
point guard. So here's my thing then. I'm not comparing them to those guys. I'm not going to say like, oh, he's better than John Stockton or, oh, he's better than Magic Johnson. But I will say that he is very, very solid, and I don't think he would be pushed over like you think he is, especially at this point in his career. I don't think he's getting pushed around, especially guarded by...
Stockton didn't play, dude.
Stockton played 4 games, okay? So if... okay, take Stockton out of it then. Who's their backup point guard?
They don't need one.
Okay.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Okay. Chris Mullin's their weakest link, in my opinion. What? Who
Who's
would
the
you?
weak-
Okay, other than Christian Leitner. Other than Christian Leitner.
Okay, other than
Leitner and Mullen are their weakest links.
Leitner and Mullen are their weakest links.
Leitner and Stockton, I would say. 'Cause this is the end of Stockton's career, and like he
This is
didn't
not
play.
the end of Stockton's career. This is 92.
Oh, you're right. But no, but Stockton. I'm saying he's the weakest link because he didn't play.
Okay, well then the weakest link for this team would have been Blake Griffin because he didn't play. Listen. What
Blake
I'm
Griffin
saying
didn't
is
play at all. Though.
what I'm saying is
This conversation is stupid.
you're okay. Whatever. We'll just leave it at that. Leave us a comment. Who do you think wins? 92 Dream Team or the 2012 Olympic men's
No one's
basketball team?
guarding MJ.
Dude, I'm just saying nobody's guarding LeBron. I'm sorry.
Kobe could guard MJ.
Kobe's not locking MJ though.
No one's locking.
Nobody's
one on this
locking
team.
nobody.
But he could compete on defense.
Bron ain't. I mean,
LeBron. This is LeBron's.
This is prime LeBron,
I
bro.
know.
This is LeBron's
Peak
prime.
LeBron.
This is when LeBron came out and was like, I could drop 60 a night if I wanted to, and drop 60 the next game. This is LeBron.
This is a peak
dude.
LeBron.
you don't understand how dominant this Dream Team was, though.
I do to an extent.
This is the
I mean,
stupidest
look,
hypothetical ever.
they're both dominant teams. It is a stupid hypothetical.
I don't know
Although
why everything's talking about this.
this 2012 team was loaded. All right, we'll move on. You want to talk about Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian? That's what you want to talk about. Let's talk about it. So if you are a fan of
Pop culture.
you know that
Let's
Pete
pour
Davidson.
one out for Pete Davidson, everybody.
Pete Davidson.
I feel bad for my boy. I love Pete Davidson.
Kim Kardashian. It was her loss. It was her loss.
Definitely her
Kim
loss.
Kardashian,
Loved
Pete
Kim
Davidson.
and Pete together. You know, Pete was
Better
my
than
dog.
Kim and yeah.
I feel
No
like
question.
I feel like Pete Davidson's just a bag fumbler, dude.
I don't think it's him. I think it's just the girls not realizing how great he is, dude.
But dude,
But he's got like a weird like long list of like
and they're
baddies.
high list celebrities. That
and that's a problem. I would.
no,
if I
it's
had
not
that
a problem.
list-
It's not a problem, but it seems like they're always breaking up over something.
Pete's
that's just
Pete's
celebrities.
just living life, my
Dude,
man.
he was engaged
king
to
of Staten
Ariana
Island.
Grande. He was engaged to Ariana Grande, and they
Yeah, and then he went to Kim Kardashian,
Yeah.
dude. Dude's
Okay.
a walking bucket,
Okay,
dude.
that's what's up. But how are
He's
we
a
supposed to
walking
how are we
W.
supposed to blame like the women in these situations when he's had the long string of failed relationships? I'm not saying. Here's my opinion though. If I'm seeing Pete Davidson's relationships, part of me just feels like he doesn't take them as seriously as these other people do. Or he takes them too seriously. He got her kids' names tattooed on him. That was weird. That's weird.
Yeah, that was weird.
That's weird. Like if you were dating.
But that was early in the relationship, though. If Kim thought that was weird, she would have left him early.
okay, but
Kim said one of the reasons why she broke up with him is because his schedule got too packed.
what? That's a bad reason.
So they got
That's
too
a bad reason.
too busy. Got too busy for the relationship.
That's a bad reason. It's yeah, that's not a great reason for them to break up. Pete Davidson.
Getting back together is not in the cards right now.
I love Pete Davidson, dude.
Pete Davidson's
He's-
Pete
funny.
Davidson just like Nico said, he's just going to add another one to the list after this, and he's just going to keep
He's gonna
living
find
life
another
because he's
dub,
the
and
king
he's gonna be
of
fine.
Staten Island.
He's
the
gonna
king.
be fine after he's gonna move on, and then Kim's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. Pete, take me back." And then Pete's gonna be like, "Nah, I'm done with you," and he's gonna walk off with the other baddie he's with.
Davidson's still in the prime of his life. He's 28. Kim is 41. Like, come on.
Okay.
Kim's declining in her good years, dude.
Okay. I'm gonna stop us before we say anything we're gonna regret. I will. Should we just leave it at that?
Yeah,
or-
sure. That was a good end.
Okay.
That was better than the stupid Dream Team conversation.
So if you're a basketball fan and you're keeping up with the stuff that goes on outside of the NBA, one big major headline is that Dejounte Murray is playing in a Pro-Am league in Washington, which is his home state. He's facing off against number 1 pick Paolo Banchero,
Bum.
and they are fighting.
Love it.
They are fighting.
Dejounte did Paolo dirty with the nastiest move I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
but
bro.
I also heard that Paolo dropped 40-7 on him. So
It don't matter.
I wouldn't
how-
say on him because they're not guarding each other.
yeah, okay, not on him, but against his team.
Don't matter.
He dropped 47-7 against Dejounte Murray. I mean, I love Dejounte Murray. Don't get me wrong. He's probably like a top 5 favorite player of mine. But I do like some of the stuff I'm hearing from him, but also at the same time, some of it's like I'm looking at the stuff he's saying and it doesn't add up. He's like, "You're flexing the number 1 pick stuff on me. You're an all-star. Why are you worried? You're an all-star that you just had a season where you proved yourself."
I mean, in the middle of a game, if Paolo's trying to talk smack to
This is
DeJounte,
not a middle of a game. This is not.
He did say-
Dejounte did everything fine.
He said this during the middle of the game.
It's a man's league. He's a little
Oh
boy.
yeah,
He's too
I
soft.
heard that.
Okay, first of all, it's a man's league. It's a pro-am league. All right.
I think he's saying like,
But he's talking
coming
about
up to
the
the
NBA.
NBA.
Oh, the NBA.
like-
Okay, yeah. Listen, I
He's
love
not
Dejounte
saying
Murray.
This is a man's league talking about the
I
pro.
didn't know they're playing in a pro-am game right now. Listen, I love Dejounte Murray, but I also think he's going a little far, especially with he's getting guarded by like a 9-to-5 employee and
tapping his
pounding the ball on his head.
I love that, dude. I think it's so funny.
It's funny, but like, come on, dude. Like, you're an all-star in the NBA. Like, what do you have to prove against these guys that
He's
are
out there having
literally?
fun.
This is just a side thing for them. They're out there gonna go make their minimum wage,
He's out
and
there.
they're coming
he's out
out
there
here
having fun.
to play basketball, have some fun. And Dejounte Murray is pounding a ball against your head when you go.
I
up
don't
for a
know though
rebound.
because like according to DeJounte, he said that Paulo tried to flex that he was the number 1 pick on him, And I mean, I kind of can see why that could annoy Dejounte a little bit because Paolo has done nothing to prove himself yet.
I agree.
And Dejounte's an all-star.
I
So,
agree.
like, you
I agree
can't
with that.
talk and let Dejounte do that to you in a pro-am game.
In the sense where it's like you haven't proved anything yet, I get it. But also in the sense of like, why are you letting that get to you in the idea of like he is like an all-star? Like he's an all-star. He just
playing
proved
basketball,
himself.
Kyle.
I know it's just playing
I don't
basketball.
think it got to him in a negative way. They're just
Well,
both competing.
clearly.
They're both competing,
he's-
and then
okay.
Dejounte did him dirty, and then
If you're making
Backed it up.
Instagram posts after the game about it,
I wish
then
players
clearly
did that
it's
more, I wish
bothering
players
you
did that
in a
more
negative
often.
way.
I wish players did that more often.
Like Kevin Durant on Twitter.
everyone does
No,
that.
but I mean like
Paolo said something
let's
first.
say Kyrie like dropped like Russ in a game.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm using Russ. But
It's okay.
and then after the game, like Kyrie tweets something about Russ, how your ankles or something like that. Like that would be cool.
You know what? We're gonna see a lot more of that as players get younger. I'm
Yeah.
gonna see it already. I mean,
Making TikToks about each
not
other.
gonna lie, like, I mean, Josh Giddey dunked on a dude in summer league and he reposted the video on his Instagram story. So it's like
Because these are teenagers.
these
This is
guys
what they
are gonna
do.
be. Yeah. So I agree. Like, I do like the younger generation. I like the talking a little bit. But I don't know. My whole thing with Dejounte Murray is I think that the talk was fine. I think the head taps on the heads in a pro.
yeah, that's too much. That's
a
too
little
much.
too much.
But it's funny. It's
It
funny.
was if it was one time, then I'd be like, oh, that's kind of funny. But he did it like multiple times in one game. Like anytime a player was on the ground, he would pound the ball against his head before dribbling off for a fast break.
That's
just
a little
having
too
fun.
much when you're an NBA player, but it's like, come on.
Yeah.
He's out there doing his
Just
thing.
hooping.
I guess.
Just hooping.
All
You're
right.
gonna see little kids on the court pounding the ball in someone's head. Because
Yeah,
of
I know. We're gonna see
Murray.
we're gonna see middle
And then they go
schoolers.
like this.
Yeah.
Knock the kid out, patting the ball and sending him to sleep.
All right. So I'm very excited that we got this now, but we are going to do a hot take from a viewer. This one comes from my buddy Mark. He does his own football podcast, NFL content. So he's gonna get started up here soon with tons of NFL content. He is one of the most dedicated people I know when it comes to talking about football.
He knows his stuff.
He knows his stuff. He
From
watches
top
like,
to bottom.
He literally will watch.
He
I
knows
mean,
every position.
he did a list this offseason and he looked into every single team's NFL draft and rated it. Like all 32. So
and he's like smart in the classroom too. So like
He
his
knows his
brain
stuff.
his brain is ginormous.
we can't give you enough praise, Mark, but we've got your first hot take and I listened to this, they haven't heard it yet. It is scorching hot. So you might want to wait on praising his NFL knowledge until you hear this, okay?
Well, I mean,
So
alright.
here's Mark.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Mark Ceddia. I am here to do a hot take for the Cork It podcast. But before I get into that, two things. Number one, thank you to the guys at Cork It for allowing me to do this. Really appreciate it. Two, go follow my YouTube channel. We cover NFL content at the Underdog Podcast on YouTube. Now into the hot take. I don't think Cooper Kupp is a top 3 receiver in the NFL.
Initial thoughts.
I mean, I could see that. He's top 5. He's not. I could see a list where he's not top 3. He's top 5. Stats, like yes, he's one. Of the, analytically, he's one of the best. He is the best receiver or top 3. But like,
He's gonna back it up here. Do you have initial thoughts?
I mean, I
I
think he's top
understand the take. It is hot. I understand it though.
Okay. Let's hear him back it up.
I don't think so. I think that a lot of his production last season was overrated. I think a lot of it was schemed up. I don't think he's a top 3 receiver in the NFL. I'm sorry. Players that I think that are better than him, I think there's 3. Number 1, Devontae Adams. Best
Agreed.
receiver in football, best route runner in football, best release package in football. Number 2, Tyreek Hill.
Agreed.
Best deep threat in football, best pure weapon in football, in my opinion. Number 3, Justin Jefferson. I just think he's a
Agreed.
better
I could maybe
all-around
even
player,
third
and I
Jamar
think he's
Chase.
I do think Jamar Chase is a really good receiver.
I don't think he's better than Cooper Kupp.
I love that take so much. It's very hot, but like Cooper Kupp, I mean, people didn't give him.
I guess with the 3 guys he just said, I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
With the 3 guys
I
he
mean,
said,
I think
receiver.
adding in Jamar Chase, he goes on more. Let's listen to the rest of this.
He's a better all-around player, and I think he's going to one-up Cooper Kupp this season and have 2,000 yards. Players that I think you can make an argument for. Number 1, Stephon Diggs. Number 2, Deebo Samuel. And number 3, DeAndre Hopkins. I have Cooper Kupp as the 4th best receiver in the NFL. That is my hot take.
So he's got him at number 4. I
Okay.
think you can make the argument for. I do like the Justin Jefferson take,
Yeah.
even from a Packers fan. That dude is special. Mark said in the video he thinks he's gonna have 2,000 yards this season, which is crazy. Because I mean, I love Kirk Cousins. I just don't know if he has it in him, especially because he's gonna be actually moving the ball to like the other receivers on the team. I feel like sharing receptions with Adam Thielen is kind of tough for you to reach 2,000 yards. I do like Jamar Chase. I think that's a good take. I don't know if right now I would say he's better than him. I'd say his ceiling is much higher.
Yeah.
I'd say his ceiling's much higher.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I would say, like I said earlier, analytically, Cooper Kupp is a top 3 wide receiver, no question. But I like how he said the stats may be because how it was like how their offense is schemed.
Yeah.
But I would also add, Cooper Kupp also doesn't get enough praise as it is.
Mm-hmm.
The Super Bowl MVP did help him.
Right.
But
I mean,
before then, no one talked about him in these conversations.
I agree.
He has people adding him in the conversation, and yes, it was only because of his stats. But numbers are real.
Yeah.
Numbers never lie. So
that's why Russell Westbrook's the top 3 point guard of all time.
But then there's the other side of things, like talent.
Yeah.
And his list, I would say most of those receivers, if not all, are more talented than Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp may be a smarter receiver, but talent-wise, I don't think he compares to those receivers as much.
Yeah, so at first listen, I was kind of shocked by it because I was just going off the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Like he won the Triple Crown,
Offensive Rookie of the Year or Offensive Player.
Player of the Year, Triple Crown, Super Bowl MVP. So like just based off the numbers and stats, I was a little shocked by it.
Mm-hmm.
But once, like Dom said again, once he said that it could have been just because of the scheme the Rams were using, and then once he listed the 3 players that he put ahead of him, I could definitely see why he wouldn't be top 3. I do like the placement of Cooper Kupp at 4.
He's top 5.
Yeah,
no question.
I like the argument for Stephon Diggs over him because I think Stephon Diggs is underrated.
Yeah.
I would also say if the Bills beat the Chiefs, the Bengals don't make the Super Bowl. Bills make the Super Bowl, and I would say they beat the Rams, in my opinion.
So you're saying if the Bills made the Super Bowl last year, they'd beat the Rams?
I agree with that.
I agree with that. But the Bills had
Stephon Diggs may have an MVP, and this conversation may be completely reversed right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I like the Stephon Diggs take too.
That's a good take. That's a good take. Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's definitely something you can have a conversation about. So thank you, Mark, for
appreciate you, Mark.
Amazing take.
Shout out to Mark. We'll have his information linked down below. If you want to be featured on here, you want us to listen to your hot take, react to it, get it out there to the public, DM us on Instagram, send us a video. I'll listen through. We'll show it on the podcast. We're going to do this every episode. So if you want to give one, do it. DM us on our Instagram. Anyways, now to our hot takes. All right, I'll do mine first. I got 2. I got an NFL one. I think Allen Lazard can average over 1,000 yards this next season, or not average, but have a 1,000-yard season.
Easy.
I think that the Packers' wide receiver room is very underrated. They lost Devontae
They
Adams,
picked up
which
2
is
great wide receivers in the draft.
But their draft was fantastic. Christian Watson's gonna be great.
And
Dobbs has been
Dobbs.
Romeo. Is it Dobbs or Dubes? I think it's Dubes.
Dubes.
Romeo Dubes.
Doubs
has been fantastic in training camps. They're saying he's the star of training camps. He might be the number 1 receiver coming out the gate, depending on how well he does production-wise. But I think Allen Lazard has the ability to be a 1,000-yard receiver. He's got the size. He's going to have the targets. I did the calculations last week. And if you take his production, his yards per catch, and his completion percentage, and you match it up with the amount of targets Devontae Adams got, he's a 1,400-yard receiving season last year, which I think he is well in his ability this next year. I think that he will be good. Now, my second take, I think Chipotle is better when it's reheated.
Absolutely not.
The next day.
That is garbage.
It's so
that is garbage.
good reheated.
That just means you're soft and can't finish a burrito.
It doesn't mean I'm soft. When I go get a bowl,
you think it's better than when it's fresh?
Yes. When I go get a bowl, it's never that hot when I get it. Right? When I get it from Chipotle, they throw all the meat in there. They bring it to the end. The cheese isn't melted.
So why don't you just put it in the microwave so it's still fresh?
That's still reheated. You heat it up in the microwave. It's reheated. It's better when it's reheated.
Oh my God. You want the cheese to be melted?
Yes. You want the cheese to be melted. And you want the meat to be hot. I'm sick and tired.
I've never had.
What Chipotle are you going to?
Hot.
Tell me.
What is your definition? What is your
Tell
definition?
me what Chipotle you're going to.
My meat is like a little warm.
Tell me what Chipotle you're going to.
The one in Athens and the one in Powell.
'Cause the one in Pal's your problem.
Yes.
The one in Athens does the same thing.
I've never had a problem with Athens.
I'm
I
just
can't
saying,
speak on
whenever
that.
I bring it back to the dorm, I put it in the microwave for.
Well, how long
30
is the walk
seconds.
from the Chipotle to the dorm?
It's not far, but I'm just saying, I put it in the microwave for 30
Is
seconds.
this
It's
in the
better.
winter?
It's about a 10-minute walk.
Look, it's fine. I just think
That's
that-
why.
That's
I
value. Why?
I just think it's bad. I think it's better.
Why
when
aren't
it's
you
heated.
eating it at Chipotle if you care that much?
'Cause you're not eating it
I
fresh.
do eat it at Chipotle, and I still think I was like,
I've never had
if
a
I pop
problem.
if I pop this in the microwave for 20 more seconds, it might be better.
The
That's so bad.
the questionable rice I've had problems with because sometimes it's like hard or something. But I've never had a problem with cold meat.
It's not cold, but I'm saying it's not as hot as it could be.
The meat isn't scorching hot, but it's still hot. Where I'm like, oh, this is delicious.
It's not hot enough to melt the cheese.
You're crazy, dude. You're
It's
so
not hot enough to
crazy.
melt the cheese.
Who cares if the cheese is not melted?
I care.
Oh my
All right, do your hot takes.
Okay, this is an NBA one. I'm gonna say Anthony Davis will have an MVP like season this couple years.
Trash.
I
If he
think-
can stay healthy, yeah, I would say.
I think
Shut up, Kyle.
Anthony Davis is sick of being hurt, and I think the offseason work he's putting in, I think it's just gonna elevate his game back to what Anthony Davis used to be, and I think he has an MVP like season.
He's not even gonna be. He's not even gonna be the second best player on the team next year. Russ, LeBron, KD. All right, Dom.
All right. I have 3, and since it's like my last episode,
Rattle them off.
Can I say them all?
Dom's
just
the last
go ahead.
episode. Rattle them
Go
off.
ahead.
All right, number 1, we're staying with the Chipotle topic. You can't eat Chipotle without the plastic fork from Chipotle.
I agree.
Okay.
It's so bad without it.
Number 2, a bad haircut is the number 1 day ruiner.
100%. You can't go out if you have a bad haircut.
You have to
It's not the number 1 day ruiner.
What's better?
I would say like stepping in gum or poop is worse.
No,
No.
I
you
would.
can't recover.
100%.
that doesn't affect how you
What do
look.
you mean you can't recover? You put on a hat. If you got gum on your shoe,
Some
that's
people don't look
gonna
good
be
in hats, Kyle.
so annoying. The rest of the day.
I mean, let's-
Go back to your place and get another pair of shoes.
It's not just another.
I'd
Okay,
rather step in
you're
gum
saying
than
you're
have a bad
saying if you
haircut.
had a nice. Okay, fine. I'll extend it. Not just stepping in gum. I would say. I would
This
say
is day ruiner.
I would say
not
day
multiple
ruiner. Okay. What do you mean multiple day ruiner? If you had your nicest pairs of shoes out and you stepped in poop, you're not
Watch where
mad.
you
where you walking when you step in a poop?
Oh, dude, come on. Why are you doing this?
Kyle's got a fresh
Why
pair
are
of
you
shoes,
doing this?
Kyle is
and
struggling today.
he goes, oh, let's
He
go
is
to this
struggling.
poop-infested park and just walk
Why are
through
you
it.
doing this? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You step in anything. You get your shoes dirty. Okay. You spill something on your shoes. That's not a
Struggling.
day ruiner.
He's struggling.
That ruins my day.
I still
I'm
feel
sorry.
like
You got a nice pair of shoes and you like spill something bad on them.
It ruins your day, but I think a bad haircut trumps it.
I could see 2 arguments for a breakup or
I'd rather get broken up with than a bad haircut.
or getting a bad grade on a test.
Oh my gosh.
But bad haircut beats
Bad haircuts
anything.
I like
Suck.
how we're like. I like how he brings a breakup, and then my next thought was like, what if like something even worse happens? Like you like crash your car.
Okay, Kyle, you're struggling.
Like
today.
you know what I'm saying?
You're
He's like, yeah, haircut sucks, but like crashing your car, not as bad.
You're struggling today.
How am I struggling? I
You're
feel like I'm being
you're taking
completely
everything-
rational.
You're taking everything too literal.
I'm not. I'm taking your take. You took my thing too literal.
Because your take suck.
Oh my gosh, get out of here, bro. Mr. Anthony Data
Number
Davis.
3, I made this discovery recently. I would say bar soap is better than body soap.
Like in a
the
bottle.
shower. Like an actual bar.
I've used
instead of-
bar my whole life, yeah.
Thank you.
I always use bar.
I love Bath and Body Works. I've used their products a long time, but if you get a good bar of soap,
Dude, the Dove bar of soap, love it.
you get
use that all
you
the
get
time.
nice and clean. 'Cause
Exactly.
sometimes like
Nice and soft too, because the Dove skin, you know. It's nice
and you
soft
gotta
skin.
use a rag. You can't just go barehanded. Like, come on, that's gross.
For soap?
Yes, for the body, yes. You gotta put the soap in a washcloth.
For the bar?
Yes, you put that in your back in your butt.
Oh my god,
do you-
it's
how do you-
soap.
I've,
And no, I
I've-
don't put the bar, no.
Is someone else using that same soap?
No.
Do you have your own bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I take my thing back.
I'm not even gonna say anything. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Dom, thank you for joining us for this
Thank you,
this
thank you.
summer, and we'll be sure to get you on with more content. Be on the lookout. I'm sure he's gonna be making some TikToks, or if he's doing any podcast stuff on his own in Arizona, he'll be around on this account, so you'll this won't be the last you see of him.
Agreed.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to follow us on social media. Again, if you want your hot take featured on here, DM us on Instagram. Send us just a video. If it gets on, we'll shout you out. We'll link your Instagram, your Twitter, anything down in the comment section or in the description below. Shout out JJ. Sorry, but
Bucket.
see you guys next week.